Welcome to Everyday Interiors TV channel. When you walk into a living room, what is usually the first piece of furniture that catches your attention? In most cases, it is the sofa. It is one of the largest pieces in the room, it occupies a significant amount of visual space, and very often, the entire living room is planned around it. But choosing a sofa is not simply about finding a design that looks beautiful. The right sofa needs to work with the architecture of your home, the proportions of the room, your lifestyle, your comfort, your color palette and the furniture surrounding it. A sofa can instantly make a living room feel luxurious, sophisticated and beautifully balanced, but the wrong sofa can make even an expensive interior feel crowded, disconnected or unfinished. So today, we are going to talk about the art of choosing the perfect sofa and understand how to select one that looks beautiful, feels comfortable and genuinely belongs in your space. Before choosing the color, fabric or shape of your sofa, the first thing you need to understand is the role that the sofa will play in your living room. A sofa is never an isolated piece of furniture. It is part of a larger composition that includes your flooring, walls, curtains, lighting, coffee table, rug, artwork, side tables and even the circulation paths around the room. This is why choosing a sofa simply because you liked it in a showroom or saw it in a beautiful photograph can sometimes lead to disappointing results. A sofa that looks perfect in a huge showroom can feel overwhelming in a compact apartment, while a delicate sofa that looks elegant in a small room can completely disappear in a large living space. The first question should always be, what does this room need? If your living room is large and open, you have the freedom to explore generous proportions, deeper seating, modular compositions, curved silhouettes or large sectional sofas. If the room is smaller, the objective changes. You want something that provides enough comfort and seating without visually consuming the entire space. The sofa should create presence, but it should also allow the room to breathe. One of the most important things to consider is proportion. Many people measure only the available wall and choose a sofa that technically fits within that measurement. But a sofa fitting against a wall does not necessarily mean that it is the right sofa for the room. You have to consider its complete footprint and the space around it. Think about the distance between the sofa and the coffee table, the walking paths around the seating area, nearby doors, windows, side tables and other furniture. A beautiful oversized sofa with almost no walking space around it will immediately make the room feel congested. On the other hand, a very small sofa placed in a huge living room can make the entire furniture arrangement look disconnected and underdesigned. Good interiors are often about proportion more than size. Before purchasing your sofa, measure not only the wall where it will sit, but also the width of the room, the height of the ceiling, the entrance door, lift, staircase and any narrow passages through which the sofa will have to travel. It is very easy to forget this practical aspect when you are focused on design, but a sofa that cannot physically enter your home is obviously not going to become the perfect sofa. But now while shape shape and and appearance appearance are are important, one of we the most cannot forget versatile the most options fundamental is the purpose classic of a straight sofa, comfort. A straight sofa A works sofa can beautifully look across a absolutely wide stunning range and of still be interior uncomfortable styles, to sit from on. contemporary and Before modern to purchasing transitional one, and classic you should actually interiors. sit on it and experience
It
it.
is particularly useful
Think
when you
about
want
the
to
depth
create
of the
a clean
seat,
and symmetrical
the height,
arrangement.
the firmness of the
A
cushions,
three-seater
the
sofa
back
can be
support
paired
and the
with two
overall
accent
posture it
chairs,
encourages.
a coffee table and
Consider
a large
how
rug
you
to
use your
create a
living room.
beautifully balanced
Do you
living
usually
room.
sit upright when
This
entertaining
arrangement
guests?
works especially
Do you
well when
spend
the
long
room
evenings
already has
watching
a strong
television?
architectural
Do you like to
focal
read?
points such as a
Do you like
feature
to stretch
wall,
out?
fireplace,
Do you prefer a
artwork,
relaxed, lounge-like
lounge-like
seating
seating
position?
statement lighting?
Your lifestyle
In
should
such a
directly
room,
influence
the
your
sofa
choice.
does not
A
necessarily
very
need
deep
to be
sofa
the most
can
dramatic
feel
element.
luxurious and relaxed.
Sometimes
but
someone
someone
who
who
prefers
prefers
quietly
upright
support
seating
the
may find it
architecture.
uncomfortable.
For a contemporary luxury
Similarly,
interior,
an
you
extremely
can look for
soft
clean
sofa
silhouettes,
may look inviting
generous
but could
cushions,
require frequent
minimal
cushion
detailing and
adjustment.
refined upholstery.
The perfect sofa
For
is
a more
not necessarily
traditional
the
or
softest
transitional
sofa.
interior,
It is the
you
sofa
can explore
that
slightly
supports the
more
way you
decorative
actually
forms.
live. Once you
Elegant
have
legs,
decided on the
piping
size,
or refined
shape and
upholstery
comfort
level,
details,
the next major decision
the
is
important thing
upholstery.
is to make sure the sofa
The fabric
speaks the
of a
same
sofa
design
can
language as the
completely
rest of
change
the
the
room.
personality of the living
Another
room.
very popular option
Linen
is
and
the
linen-blend
L-shaped
fabrics
sofa.
can create a
L-shaped
relaxed yet
sofas are especially
sophisticated
useful
atmosphere
because
and
they
work
provide
beautifully
generous
in
seating while
contemporary,
also helping
understated
define
and
the
natural
living area.
interiors.
They work
Velvet
beautifully
introduces
in open plan
richness,
homes where there
depth,
may
and
not
a
be an
sense of
actual
luxury,
wall separating
making
the
it
living
particularly
room from the
effective
dining
when you
area.
want the sofa to
Kitchen
become
are
another
another
part
part
of
of
the
the
home.
home.
In
Boucle
such
brings
spaces,
softness and
the
texture
sofa
and can
itself
work
can become a
beautifully
subtle
in temporary
architectural
interiors
boundary.
where tactile materials
However,
are important.
you should never choose an L-shaped
Leather
sofa
creates an
simply
entirely
because you
different
want more
character
seating
and can feel timeless.
You need to think about
refined
where
and
the
extended
architectural
chaise or sectional
but
portion
upholstery
will
should
sit
never be
and how it will
chosen
affect
only
the
for its
circulation of
appearance.
the room.
Think about your
Consider
lifestyle
the
and the
location
amount
of
of
the
television
television,
you are willing
windows,
to manage.
doors and other
If you
furniture
have children,
before deciding
pets,
the
or
orientation.
a very active household,
In a compact
a delicate
room,
fabric
an
may require
oversized
much more
L-shaped
care.
sofa can quickly
Consider how
dominate
easily
the
the
entire
fabric
space,
can be
but
cleaned,
in a large
how it
living
reacts
room,
to sunlight,
it can create a
how
wonderfully
frequently the
comfortable
sofa
and
will be used,
luxurious
and whether the
environment.
material will age
Modular
beautifully over
sectional
time.
sofas can be
A
especially
sofa that
useful
looks
because
perfect
they allow
but
you to
constantly
rearrange
needs individual
protection may not be
pieces
the most
depending on the
practical
room or
choice for your
occasion.
home.
This
Color
flexibility
is another
can be
decision that
valuable
can
for
dramatically
families and
influence
people
the
who like to
entire
change
living
their
room.
furniture arrangement
One of
over
the safest
time.
approaches is
Then
to
we
choose
have
a
one of the
neutral
most
sofa
visually
and
striking
introduce
sofa
color
styles,
through cushions,
the curved
throws,
sofas,
artwork, and
curved
accessories
sofas have become
but
increasingly
neutral
popular
does
in
not have to mean
sophisticated
boring.
contemporary
Shades
interiors
such as
because
ivory,
they introduce
cream,
softness into
stone,
spaces that
taupe,
are otherwise dominated
mushroom,
by straight lines.
warm grey,
Muted
Imagine a
olive
room
and
with
rectangular
rectangular
flooring,
earthy tones
straight
can create
walls,
an extremely
linear
elegant
furniture, and a very
foundation.
structured ceiling.
If your room already
Introducing
contains
a
strong
curved
architectural
sofa
elements,
immediately creates
a neutral
contrast
sofa
and makes
allows
the
those
space feel
features
more
to
fluid
remain
and
focus.
sculptural.
But
But
if
if the room is relatively
simple,
particularly
the
beautiful
sofa
in
can
large
become a
living rooms
statement.
where it can be
A
appreciated
deep
from
green,
multiple
rich
angles.
brown,
Burgundy,
it can almost behave
navy,
like
or
a muted
muted terracotta
sculpture
within
the
the
sofa
space.
can bring character into
However,
an otherwise
curves
neutral
need
interior.
room. If you place
The
a very
important
large
thing
curved
is not to
sofa
select
in
the
a narrow
sofa color
living room
independently.
the beautiful
Look
shape
at the
can
entire
become a
color
practical
story of the
problem
room
because you may lose
Consider the
valuable
flooring,
circulation
wall
space.
finishes,
Curtains,
the curve should have enough
rugs,
breathing room
artwork,
around it
and other furniture.
When used correctly,
The sofa
however,
should feel as
a
though it
curved
belongs to
sofa
the
can
same
become the
visual
most
story
memorable
rather than
piece in the
appearing as a
room.
separate object that was simply placed inside the room. One of the most important relationships in your living room is the relationship between the sofa and the coffee table. These two pieces need to work together in terms of scale and proportion. A very large sofa paired with a tiny coffee table can immediately make the arrangement look unbalanced. At the same time, an oversized coffee table in front of a delicate sofa can make the room feel cramped. You need enough space to move comfortably between the seating and the table, while keeping the table close enough to be functional. Depending on the size and shape of your living room, you can also experiment with two smaller coffee tables instead of one large piece. This can create flexibility and add a more contemporary feel. In a luxury interior, materials such as natural stone, marble, travertine, wood, glass and refined metal can complement the sofa beautifully. But remember that luxury is not created simply by selecting expensive materials. It is created through the relationship between all the elements. The rug is another element that can completely change the appearance of your sofa arrangement. One of the most common mistakes in living rooms is choosing a rug that is far too small. When the rug is tiny and sits only underneath the coffee table, the seating can feel disconnected from the rest of the room. A larger rug helps visually connect the sofa, coffee table and accent chairs and creates a more cohesive seating zone. Ideally, when the space allows, at least the front legs of the sofa and chairs can sit on the rug. This creates a stronger visual relationship between the pieces. The rug should also complement the sofa rather than compete with it. If your sofa has a strong color or heavy texture, a quieter rug may create a better balance. If your sofa is simple and minimal, you can introduce more pattern, texture or visual interest through the rug. Your sofa also does not have to perfectly match every other seating piece in the room. In fact, one of the easiest ways to create a more sophisticated and curated interior is to combine different but complementary pieces. A neutral curved sofa could be paired with sculptural accent chairs, or a clean-lined sofa could be combined with a more organic chair. The pieces can be different in shape while still maintaining harmony through color, material or texture. Perfectly matching sofa sets can sometimes make a living room feel predictable. A curated combination usually feels more individual and thoughtfully designed. When we talk about a luxury sofa, it is important to understand that luxury does not necessarily mean excessive decoration or an extremely expensive price tag. Luxury often comes from proportion, craftsmanship, material quality and detailing. Look closely at the stitching, upholstery, cushion construction, arm proportions, base and overall silhouette. A beautifully constructed sofa with a simple form can look far more luxurious than a heavily decorated sofa with unnecessary details. Refined piping, elegant stitching, sculptural bases, integrated side tables or carefully designed wooden elements can add character without overwhelming the design. The key is restraint. In sophisticated interiors, the details should feel intentional rather than excessive. Sofa placement is equally important. A common mistake is pushing every piece of furniture directly against the walls simply because there is space available there. In a large living room, bringing the sofa slightly away from the wall can actually create a much more sophisticated arrangement. It can create a sense of intimacy, allow circulation behind the sofa and visually divide an open plan space. If your home has a beautiful view, consider positioning the seatings so that it supports rather than blocks that view. If the television is the focal point, think about viewing angles and comfort. If there is a large artwork behind the sofa, make sure the scale of the sofa does not overwhelm it. Furniture placement should respond to the architecture of the room rather than simply filling empty spaces. For smaller living rooms, sofa selection becomes even more important because every centimeter matters. A sofa with a lighter visual profile can help maintain a sense of openness. Sofas with raised legs can sometimes make a room feel lighter because more of the floor remains visible. Slimmer arms can also provide more usable seating without significantly increasing the overall width. In a small room, resist the temptation to fill every corner with furniture. Negative space is extremely valuable. Sometimes a smaller sofa combined with one or two carefully selected accent chairs can make the room feel more spacious than an oversized sectional. A well-proportioned rug, layered lighting and thoughtful furniture placement can further enhance the sense of openness. Rooms present the opposite challenge. Here, under-furnishing can make the space feel empty and disconnected. If you have a very large living room and place one small sofa in the middle, the furniture can feel lost within the architecture. Instead, think about creating multiple seating zones. You could have a primary seating arrangement around a coffee table and a smaller reading or conversation area elsewhere in the room. A large sectional can also help anchor a generous space. The important thing is to create visual relationships between these zones so that the room feels intentionally designed rather than simply filled with furniture. If your goal is to create a luxury living room, start with the architecture rather than starting with the sofa. Look at your flooring, wall finishes, ceiling design, lighting and overall proportions. Then select the sofa that complements those elements. A luxury sofa often works best when the silhouette is sophisticated, the proportions are generous and the detailing is controlled. Think about beautiful upholstery, refined textures, elegant forms and comfortable proportions. You do not need excessive ornamentation to create luxury. A beautifully proportioned neutral sofa placed against a dramatic stone wall, combined with a sculptural coffee table, a large rug and warm architectural lighting, can create a much stronger luxury statement than a sofa overloaded with decorative details. Luxury is ultimately about how everything works together. There are also a few common sofa mistakes that are worth avoiding. The first is choosing the wrong size simply because the sofa looks beautiful. The second is ignoring circulation and leaving insufficient space around the furniture. The third is choosing upholstery without considering everyday maintenance. The fourth is using a rug that is too small for the seating arrangement. The fifth is making every piece of furniture match perfectly. And perhaps the biggest mistake of all is forgetting comfort. Your living room is not a showroom. It is a space where you spend time, relax, entertain guests and live your everyday life. The sofa needs to look beautiful, but it should also make you want to sit down and stay there. And now let's talk about one of my favorite ways to transform a simple sofa into something that looks much more luxurious. Styling can make an enormous difference. Start with the cushions. Instead of filling the sofa with too many small cushions in random colors, create a controlled combination of different sizes, textures and tones. Use a larger neutral cushion. Add a textured cushion and then introduce one or two accent pieces that connect with the room's color palette. Add a beautiful throw casually over one side instead of arranging it too perfectly. Then look at the lighting. Warm ambient lighting can completely transform the way upholstery, textures and colors appear in the evening. Add a floor lamp, table lamp or architectural lighting depending on the design of your space. Then bring in a beautifully proportioned coffee table, a large rug and carefully selected artwork. The sofa itself does not necessarily need to be extraordinary. The entire composition needs to feel intentional. At the end of the day, choosing the perfect sofa comes down to understanding your room and understanding yourself. Start with the proportions of the space. Measure everything. Think about how people will move around the sofa. Think about how you actually use the living room. Decide whether you need a straight sofa, an L-shaped sectional, a modular composition or a curved statement piece. Then consider comfort, upholstery, color and detailing. Finally, look at the sofa as part of the entire interior rather than as an individual purchase. The most beautiful sofa is not necessarily the largest, the most expensive or the trendiest one. It is the sofa that feels perfectly proportioned for your space, supports your lifestyle and complements the architecture around it. Because when the sofa is right, the entire living room begins to come together. And when the entire living room comes together, the space starts feeling intentional, elegant and complete. So, if you are currently designing your living room or planning to replace your sofa, don't just ask yourself, does this sofa look beautiful? Ask yourself, does this sofa belong in my space? That one question can completely change the way you make your decision. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Everyday Interiors TV for more ideas on luxury interiors, furniture, styling and beautiful spaces. And tell us in the comments which sofa you would choose for your dream living room, a classic straight sofa, a spacious L-shaped sectional or a sculptural curved sofa. We would love to know. Thank you for watching Everyday Interiors TV, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep designing beautiful spaces.